It's a brutal truth in the markets. Most traders fail. But why? The reason isn't some secret formula or a hidden piece of data that only a few people have. Nope, it's something much closer to home, their own psychology. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the mental game of trading and, more importantly, how to actually win it. So let's just start with a number that should really make you sit up and pay attention. 90%. That's right, 90% of retail options traders consistently lose money. I mean, think about that. This isn't just a risk. For almost everyone, it's the most likely outcome. So the big question is why? Why is the deck so stacked against them? Well, here's the answer. It's because they're playing the wrong game entirely. See, they think the game is about finding the perfect piece of information or some secret indicator that no one else has. But the real game, the one that matters, is psychology. And the 90% are losing because their own minds are working against them. All right, so let's dive into this 90% problem. We're going to uncover the psychological traps that are so incredibly easy to fall into and show you why just having more data often leads to worse, not better results. Here's a really powerful way to think about it. For a lot of people, buying an options contract feels a lot like buying a lottery ticket. You kind of know the odds are stacked against you, but that dream of the one big win, it's incredibly powerful. It's addictive. And when you finally do get that one rare win, it just reinforces the bad behavior, trapping you in what is ultimately a losing strategy. And this really gets at the heart of the battle that's happening inside your own head. You've got your reflexive brain, the part that feels all the excitement, the fear, the greed, and it's in a constant war with your thinking brain, the part that's supposed to be analyzing the odds. The problem is, in the heat of the moment, that reflexive feeling brain usually wins, and that leads to impulsive emotional decisions. This emotional battle locks you into a really powerful addiction cycle. It all starts with the anticipation of a win. And get this, that feeling can be even more potent than the win itself. Then, okay, you get the win, and you get that dopamine hit, that high. And what comes next? The chase. You start desperately trying to get that feeling back, and that usually means taking on even bigger and crazier risks. And you know what supercharges this whole cycle? It's one of the most seductive and frankly dangerous phrases in all of finance. Limited risk, unlimited profit potential. I mean, wow, that sounds like the perfect deal, right? An unbeatable risk reward. But in reality, this phrase is a silent account killer. Yeah, silent account killer is exactly right, because here's the cold, hard truth. Limited risk on a single trade means absolutely nothing when you make dozens of losing trades. That so-called limited risk is still your entire capital, just slowly bleeding out trade after trade until one day you look and your account is empty. It's a disaster in slow motion. So if that's the trap, how in the world do you escape it? Well, the answer comes down to one word: structure. This, right here, is the fundamental difference between the 90% who lose and the pros who actually make a living doing this. Just look at the difference here. It's like two different worlds. The 90%, they operate on vague feelings, a general, I think the market's going up feeling. So they buy a call or a put and just hope for the best. Professionals, on the other hand, have a very specific outlook. They know the exact strategy to use for that outlook, and this is crucial. They know their maximum loss before they ever click the buy button. It's a managed, methodical process, not a hopeful guess. So, this brings us to the actual path to mastery. And here's the key thing to get. The goal isn't just to collect more random information. It's to build deep, practical competence that you can actually use when your money is on the line. When you first start learning about options, it's just insane. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. You hear that there are over 475 documented strategies out there, and you feel like you need to be a walking encyclopedia to even have a chance. But that is a huge misconception. Because here's the secret. Here's what the professionals know. You don't need 475 strategies. You don't even need 50. You just need to truly deeply master about 10 to 15 core strategies. That's it. That toolkit can handle almost any market condition. The key isn't breadth of knowledge, it's depth of mastery. The best way to think about this is like learning how to drive a car, right? You don't start by trying to read 475 different owner's manuals for every car ever made. No, you master the basics: the gas, the brake, the steering wheel. You practice until it becomes second nature. Trading is exactly the same. So here it is, maybe the most crucial takeaway from all of this. Focus on mastering one single strategy first. Trade it for months, learn its nuances, learn when it works, when it fails, and why. And only after you've built true competence with that one strategy, then you can earn the right to add another one to your toolkit. And the psychological payoff for doing this, it's huge. I mean, it completely changes the game. Once you have a system, emotion just gets taken out of the equation. You're not guessing anymore, you have a clear plan, you follow the plan, and that's how you get paid. You've officially stopped gambling and started executing. All right, so let's pull all this together into your new framework for trading. The entire journey we've just talked about really comes down to one fundamental shift in how you approach the markets. It really boils down to this. The old way, the way the 90% do it, is all about chasing those lottery ticket returns, letting your emotions and your reflexive brain make the calls. The new way, the professional way, is about letting a proven, structured system drive every single one of your decisions. So when it's all said and done, the goal is not to just accumulate random bits of information. The goal is to build systematic knowledge, a toolkit of strategies you've actually mastered that you can deploy with confidence, with precision, and with zero emotion. That, my friends, is the true edge in trading. And that leaves us with one last really important question that I want you to ask yourself. The next time you're about to place a trade, stop and ask, am I using a defined system or am I just going with a feeling? Because the answer to that question will almost certainly determine which side of that 90% you're going to fall on.